Reception and welcome to story time. Today we're going to read the story The Elves and the Shoemaker. Have a look at the front of the book. Can you see the title? It's here. Amazing. I can see some elves. It's illustrated by Gail Yerrill. Let's start reading. Our story begins with a poor shoemaker and his wife. "This is my last piece of leather," he says sadly. "I can only make one more pair of shoes." The shoemaker cuts out the leather and puts it on his workbench. They go up to bed. The next morning, the old shoemaker finds a new pair of shoes on his workbench. "Who made these shoes?" asks the shoemaker. He puts them in the shop window. A man sees the shoes. He comes into the shop and tries them on. "I like these shoes," says the man. "I will pay you for them." Now the old shoemaker can buy more leather. He cuts out the leather and puts it on the workbench. Then he goes up to bed. The next morning there is a new pair of boots and a new pair of shoes on the workbench. Who has made these boots and shoes? Who do you think it is? The old shoemaker soon sells both pairs of shoes. Now he can buy even more leather. He cuts out the leather and goes up to bed. The next morning he finds 8 new pairs of boots and shoes. And so it goes on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Everyone likes his boots and shoes. Soon they are rich, but they still don't know who is making the shoes. So they make a plan. The old shoemaker cuts out the leather and puts it on his workbench. But this time they don't go to bed. They hide instead. Now we will see who makes the shoes. The old shoemaker and his wife wait and wait. At last the shop door opens and 2 tiny elves run in. They jump onto the workbench and sew the leather as fast as can be. Like magic, the shoes are finished. The elves dance a little jig on the workbench, tip-tap, tip-tap, tip-tap. Then they jump down. The elves run away into the night. "Those elves are very kind to us," says the shoemaker. "Yes," says his wife, "but their clothes are old and thin. They must be so cold." The shoemaker nods his head. "The winter snow is on the ground and they don't even have any shoes," he says. How can we help the elves? How do you think they could help them? The next day, the shoemaker and his wife get to work. What do you think they make? That's right. 2 tiny coats, 2 tiny pairs of trousers and 2 tiny pairs of boots. They look just right for the elves. They put the presents on the workbench, then they wait and wait. At last the shop door opens and in run the 2 tiny elves. They jump up onto the workbench and see the presents, and they dance a little jig. Tip, tip, tap. 2 for you and 2 for me. The tiny elves put on the tiny clothes. They are just right, they say. They dance a little jig all along the workbench. Tip, tip, tap, tip, tip, tap. Thank you, they call as they jump down. They do a little jig. Tip, tip, tap. On the way out. The end. That's a lovely story about the elves being kind and helping out the shoemaker, making some new pairs of shoes for him so he can sell them and buy more leather to make more pairs of shoes. When the old man and the old lady find out who has been helping them, they want to be kind back. They make new clothes for them, and everybody is really happy. It's nice to be kind to other people. Okay, that's the end of story time. I'll see you really, really soon. Bye.